Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to welcome everybody and say hello to you and let you know that I'm very, very happy that you're here. And I'm not going to talk very, very long, but I wanted to make a couple points about something that I just saw. I just shared a video on my Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. And in this video, Viola Davis, a super talented actress that she is, made a really eloquent statement about gender and race-based pay inequality in Hollywood. And effectively, what she says, and you're welcome to go check out her statement because I think you should hear what she has to say. She talks about some things that are fundamentally true. She says that women make half of what men make, and Black women make about 1/10 of what the white women make. And she talks about the fact that there are so many talented actresses in Hollywood that have her same credentials. I think she mentions Meryl Streep. I believe she might have mentioned Julia Roberts and some other great actresses that exist in Hollywood that are doing very, very well. And she says, my pay is not anywhere near what their pay is. My opportunities aren't anywhere near where their opportunities are. I don't get the same number of callbacks that they get. And I watched this video and I shared it with you guys. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram's the real Boyce Watkins. Feel free to follow me there. And I shared it because she's 100% correct. She's 100% correct in everything that she had to say. So I'm not here on any level to disagree with what Viola Davis is saying. And I encourage you to also go to the real Boyce Watkins and check out the video so you can make your own commentary on this. In fact, I'm going to ask you all another question. How many of you feel as Black people that at some point in your job, you never got the same pay as equally talented or less talented white people? Give me a yes in the chat. Give me a yes in the chat if you feel like you didn't get the same promotions that as equally talented or less talented white people. Put a yes in the chat. How many of you feel that even though you went to school and you worked hard, you didn't get the same job opportunities as equally talented or less talented white people? Put a yes in the chat. So I want to look at all the yeses roll in because I want you to share that experience because that experience is very real. It's fundamentally unfair. And in fact, I'm going to ask you another question. How many of you feel that Viola Davis is a talented actress? Maybe you like her movies, maybe you don't. But how many of you feel that Viola Davis is right up there with the best? How many of you feel that Viola Davis can stand toe-to-toe with Meryl Streep, toe-to-toe with Julia Roberts, toe-to-toe with any of the great white actresses in Hollywood? Give me a yes in the chat. Okay, so now that we've established that Viola is super talented, we've established that that Viola is correct. We've also established that many of us go through the same things that Viola Davis went through. I want to give you a perspective to help you understand this. And again, I welcome you to join the conversation on the real Boyce Watkins, my Instagram. That's where I put the video up. I want to throw in this one little point, and I don't know if I'm going to sound rude if I say it or not, but I think it's very important to understand this. And I'm really talking to you, not so much to her. The thing I would say to Viola Davis, if she were to give me that speech, is I would say you're 100% correct. But one thing you seem to have forgotten is that you're not white. In case no one ever told you, ma'am, you're not white. So the question I would ask her is, on what planet do we somehow form this false reality or create this fantasy in our heads that we can go consistently send ourselves and send our children to work in white-owned businesses and be treated the same as they would if they were white? Let me ask you this. Do you think that an Asian that goes to work for an Arab expects that he's going to be treated in that business the same as an Arab? What do you think? Do you think that a Jew who goes to work for a Mexican is going to be treated the same as if he were Mexican? Give me a yes or no. What do y'all think? So I don't think that Jew would expect to be treated like a Mexican. I don't think the Asian would expect to be treated as well in an Arab-owned business as he would in an Asian-owned business. So why is it that Black people, we're the only group that I can think of that has somehow been falsely led to believe that you can go work in a white-owned business and you expect to be treated the same as if you were white? Now, I'm not saying that you don't have a right to that. I'm not saying you don't deserve it. I'm not saying that you don't have a case. Maybe there's a lawsuit that could be filed, right? Fine, all that. However, I think that one of the things that you got to think about, and Dr. Claude Anderson talks about this in Powernomics, is you have to understand that part of the reason you lose the game is because you support the idea that you're going to go try to play a rigged game and expect to somehow find a way to win. Like, you're going into a game where the other team is using their referees, playing on their home court, playing by rules that only they understand, rules that they can change at any moment, and you somehow think you're still going to win as many games as they're going to win. You think that if you show up and you play well, that you're going to find a way to win, when the reality is that the game was never designed for you to win because it's their game. So when you walk away from your businesses, and this is where I'm getting at, y'all know how we operate over here. When you walked away from what you had before integration, where you were fed the fantasy that you could go into a space that's not yours and be treated as if you were a relative. Before integration, you owned more businesses than you do now. Before integration, you owned more land and property than you do now. Before integration, you owned more schools than you do now. So now you are simply in a scenario where you're going to be slapped around by the rules set up by other people until you learn how to set up your own game, aka your own institutions. Y'all got to understand, Black people, and I talk about this extensively in my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. One of the things that I think the 10th commandment, I got to go double check because I have to remind myself of everything I put in here. The 10th commandment is that ownership is the key to power. Ownership is the key to power. So if you don't have ownership in the space that which you operate, what in the world makes you think you're going to be able to walk in there and have power? What in the world would make any man think about this? Imagine if a man moved in my house. He's a grown man just like me, 51 years old, just like me. And he comes up in my house and he says, well, since you have a house that where everyone's treated fairly, I expect to sleep in the master bedroom. I expect to sleep with your wife. I expect to get the big piece of chicken every day at dinner because you got the big piece of chicken 5 days in a row, Dr. Boyce, and that ain't right. That ain't fair. I would say, you know what I would say to him? I would say, F you and your definition of fair. If you want fair, you got to go create your own space where you get to define what's fair. Because in this house, what's fair is that I eat the big piece of chicken at dinner time, and I'm going to do that every night. What's fair is I sleep upstairs in the master bedroom. You sleep in the basement because guess what? This ain't your house. I know I let you get comfortable here. I know I gave you a place to stay. I know I told you you could come in here because you were having a hard time and you my boy, but you can't come in my house and think that you're going to be treated as well as the man of the house. You will never be the man of this house because this ain't your house. You'll never even be a relative in this house because I put my wife and my children ahead of you. That's always going to be true. Always. So what you got to understand is that when you go into someone else's economic house, you will never be the woman of the house. You will never be the man of the house. You will never be the leader of that house. You will always sleep in the basement. Why? Well, because you showed up with your hand out during integration. You sat around and begged them for opportunities and you were begging for a place to stay. Whereas before, now you're begging for a 2% ownership in a sports team when you used to own the entire Negro leagues. Self-esteem is the key to all of this. So again, I'm not questioning Viola Davis's talent. I'm not questioning her right to make her statement. I'm just going to say, here's my prediction. Viola and people like her will be complaining until the day they are dead. They're going to say, we worked just as hard. We went to the same schools. We did all the work and we didn't get the same opportunities. Well, of course you didn't, because Hollywood was created by the Jewish community so that God bless them. They could create a space where they hold the keys to the kingdom, not you. The book, An Empire of Their Own, how the Jews invented Hollywood, how several Eastern European Jews who were being treated very badly in their own space decided to come to the United States and create Universal Studios. They created the Fox Network. They created Warner Brothers. They created MGM, and they created all these other agencies and entities surrounding Hollywood in their own image to make sure that they were taking care of their people first. And I dare you to go to Hollywood and insult a Jewish person. I dare you to go to Hollywood and say something negative about the Jews and watch how fast they blackball your entire black ass. And I don't blame them. I do the same thing too. You ain't gonna come in my house and insult me and expect to stay in this house and eat. You ain't eating in my house if you're insulting my family. So God bless what they got in Hollywood. So it's time for black people to go build your own. That's all I got to say. I gotta go. My flight lesson is in a few minutes. I'm learning how to fly airplanes and I can't be late. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is an Amazon bestseller. We're an independent Black-owned company. We did not publish this through a publisher. So it's listed on Amazon. If you want to get a copy, feel free to go to get one. And these are 10 rules that apply to power. I'm all about the power game. I understand how it's played. And this is kind of like the 48 laws of power for Black people, except there's only 10. So feel free to go pick up a copy at Amazon. Also, I'll be in Houston on April 21st for a Black Wealth Boot Camp. If you'd like to join us, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. God bless you. I'll see you guys later. Take care now. Peace.